Hello, and welcome to an episode of Todd Talks. And Todd Talks, people listen. Hopefully. Today, I am very excited because I get to talk about a very fun death battle that is happening next week. It is featuring a character that I personally love with all my heart. I have actually met the voice actor behind him. No, I'm not talking about Samuel L. Jackson. Today, we are talking about Samurai Jack versus Afro Samurai. Now, if you saw my reaction video for Ryu versus Jin, you'll know that I have already picked my character out of bias. It's one of the few times I've ever done that. But after doing some research, may have come to a different conclusion. But will I? You'll just have to see. All right. So, long ago, in a distant land. No, wait, hold on. I'm not doing the same thing that Death Battle did, even though I was totally going to, but they totally stole my idea. So, now, long ago, there was a battle, and it was a battle between basically gods. Three gods were teaming up against this entity that was literally the embodiment of darkness. And as they were utterly eviscerating this darkness, a piece got away. They didn't know it. They didn't notice it. And so this piece fell to earth. And this darkness spread like a disease until a emperor of Japan decided to take action because it was starting to kill his people. Unfortunately for him, the method he used to try to free his people actually brought forth let's call it the true form of the darkness, Aku. Aku wasn't too happy that this samurai emperor was trying to kill him, so he bound him up, tried to destroy his people, blah, 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 blah. The emperor fought back, wielding a magic sword, and was able to steal Aku. But Aku got back out, took the emperor, destroyed the town, and now all of their hopes were pinned on the emperor's son, a samurai named Jack. Yeah. Now, Jack trained all of his youth, his teenage years, and early adult life for the sole purpose of wielding the magic sword and defeating Aku. And through his training, he was able to become the perfect embodiment of what a warrior should be, in both mind, body, and spirit. And sure enough, when he went to fight Aku, he was about to beat him. He was owning him. Even with Aku's powers and shape-shifting abilities and super strength and durability, the sword allowed him to nearly kill Aku. But before he could, he was thrown into the future where Aku's evil is long. Now the samurai seeks to return to the past and undo the future that is Aku. And yes, I changed the word because I'm not Aku. So so yeah. Now, stuck in the future, Jack had to survive all these things that the future had to offer him, and all the while trying to find Aku so that he could eventually kill him. Yeah. And for the course of, let's see, what was the final count? It's like, let's see, 50, 60, 62 episodes, I believe. 62 episodes. Let's just say that's a nice round number. He did just that. He traveled the world, fought all kinds of beings, and eventually, oh, that's a spoiler. I'll wait for that. Jack is something else. All right, Jack is a character or something else. I mean, did you really ever notice that he doesn't really talk? Okay, like he talks, he does. He has conversations with people and everything, but a lot of the times he's the most silent character ever. Even Phil Lamar, who is the voice actor behind Samurai Jack, and I had the honor of meeting once. I have the picture right over there. Okay, you can't see it, but it's over there, I promise. I'll bring it for the reaction video. But yeah. So he noted that when Samurai Jack came back for season 5, he's like, "This is like the easiest job in the world. All I have to do is let someone else do exposition and go, yes, I will do this, and then move on." And and I thought about it. I'm like, that's actually kind of true, especially when you look at season 5. But yeah, Jack is this very solemn, very focused warrior, and he does what he has to do in the land, but he always follows the code of Bushido, which is honor and discipline above all else. He will always help someone if they're in danger. He honestly can't help it at times. And because of this, he has helped everything from anthropomorphic, sorry if I'm saying that wrong, animals, aliens, robots, Dogs. Yeah. Basically anything you could think of that he could help. He helped. And he did it. And he owned so many freaking things that's crazy. Now, one of the keys behind this is his sword. His sword is magical. It is imbued with the blessings of his ancestors. Sorry, imbued with the spirits of his ancestors, which is a blessing. And because of that, it is able to slice through almost anything. Almost. And including, but not limited to, all the future robots and robotic creations. Okay, most of the robotic creations that the future has. Because that's the biggest thing here, is that this is a samurai from literal feudal Japan. And he is thrown... It's never really said how long into the future, but let's just be generous and say 200 years. Be generous, so you know, because the technology there is easily more advanced than what we have here. So you know, give it a few hundred years. So we're talking flying cars, super speed trains, laser guns, again aliens, anthropomorphic animals. I really hope I'm saying that right. You know, animals, all these things, and he's beating them. Okay, these are, like, for example, some of these machines terrorize towns to where the townspeople literally either submit to Aku or die. And yet Jack can come in, slice them all up, and just, you know, be Jack. So, and the sword is a big reason for this. But the other big thing is that his training was so detailed and so thorough that he is able to do just absolutely insane things. For example, he is trained in multiple weapons. He was trained in archery. If you saw the preview, you know, but I'll just do a quick rundown. He is trained in spears, axes, swords, bows and arrows. He knows how to read maps. He can sail basically any kind of ship. He is trained in multiple forms of martial arts, including wrestling, certain Shaolin monk techniques, so various forms of kung fu. He's been trained a lot, and he uses these skills in battle to basically decimate just about anybody he comes into his path. One of my favorite ones was in the future, which proves that he still learns. He helped these animals who knew how to jump good. And I hurt my hand, so I can barely do it. Jump good. There we go. So he actually has even greater speed and agility than before, because he actually would train with rocks on his body, one of which easily weighed a couple tons. And he learned how to run at fast speeds, so by the time he was done with the training, he could basically float in the air. And he's jumped hundreds of feet and everything. He's freaking incredible. I mean, if I was to spend my time listing all the gosh dang feats that Samurai Jack has done, this video would be like an hour long, okay? I just recommend watching this series, which, yes, I know would actually take more time than watching an hour-long video of Todd talk, but do you really want to hear me talk for an hour? I didn't think so. But here's some of the highlights. In the course of a drop of water falling, okay, we see Jack enter a scene, and there's this icicle, all right, and it's dripping water. Within the point of a drop of water releasing from the icicle and hitting the ground, he defeated 4 assassins trying to kill him. 4 very different assassins who had different weapons, including but not limited to swords, spike ball bombs, which he caught and then flung back, and they were very different sizes, and he beat them all before that drop hit the ground. He has withstood, I kid you not, a sumo wrestler who apparently weighed 700 tons. Belly flopped onto Jack, and even though he was pinned underneath the guy, he was still able to move out under him just enough to get his head and shoulders out, which is an incredible amount of strength and durability. Let's see, he's defeated numerous assassins. He's defeated numerous warriors, and one of my all-time favorite enemies, Demongo, who would literally have the essence of a warrior within him via their skulls, right? He sent numerous of these skulls at Jack. Jack beat every single warrior, and then eventually beat Demongo through reasoning I'll tell you in a second. He has defeated armies, literal armies of people, or bugs, or machine creatures, okay? He's defeated, it's literally expressed that he's defeated armies. Like in one shot, he had to defeat an entire army of these bug robots, right? And they show him starting off, you know, on a rider, you know, with a spear, you know, just plucking them one after another. And then it goes into this, cutscene of, slash, 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 and everything. And then at the end, you see hundreds, if not thousands, of these bug machines all dead, and Jack standing there holding his flag, proving that he's an absolute boss. Okay? And he's done this multiple times. And one time he did it without his sword, like definitively without his sword. Like that battle, he had like a spear and then used his sword. In season 5, episode 1, like one of the opening scenes is him destroying an army without his sword. He used, rocket launchers. He used a spear. He is very adaptable. He has defeated super robots, including the Ultrabots, which were literally designed to withstand the power of his sword, which apparently they were made of adamantium. Suck on that, Marvel. Yeah, and he was able to defeat them with the help of his ancestors. Again, I'll get to that. But he was able to defeat many very strong warriors, including, but not limited to, the Daughters of Aku, which were the main enemy in season 5, who were literally trained since birth to defeat him. Then there was, of course, one of the most famous episodes where he fought a robot ninja who was a master swordsman, not unlike Jack, and was able to use the the ninja way to try and outclass the samurai way. Let's see. Dang, I know I'm missing a big one. Oh yeah, Mad Jack, who literally took the embodiment of Jack's rage, which he has within him, and sent him against Jack, and Jack beat him. Yeah, Jack's beaten, and this is of course not including like the giant robots, bounty hunters, assassins, all these guys. Jack's beat them. Jack's beat them all. Okay, and eventually he did indeed go back in time and beat Aku. Killed them, dead, gone, future saved. He made it back to the past, because he's mother freaking gosh dang Samurai Jack. Okay? Now, there are some misconceptions about Jack. First and foremost, his sword. It is stated that his sword, some believe that his sword can slice through anything and everyone. This is not true. If you don't believe me, look at the battles between him and the Scotsman, where his sword could not destroy his sword, even though he had a technique for destroying swords. Also, versus the Ultrabots. On his own, he could not defeat the Ultrabots, because the Ultrabots were made of adamantium, which I guess in this universe too is the strongest metal around. So he actually had to pray to his ancestors for a superpowered blade, which they gave him, and only then could he defeat them. Although, yes, he did have a robot gauntlet arm made. I think his name was Seth made it. So yeah, he had to have like a superpowered arm to beat those with his natural sword. Also, there's been many times in this series where a regular sword, not for example the ninja fight, where his sword did not kill it, or sorry, his sword did not defeat its other sword. So it can't slice through everything, but it can slice through pretty much anything. Okay, that sounds like an oxymoron, but it can slice through a lot of things, including again the futuristic metal that made up the robots of his new home, or his his future. So there is that. Also, Jack is not invincible. He is not undefeatable. He has lost matches, including one of the most famous ones where he lost to the Guardian, who was the keeper of a time portal. And even though Jack was supposed to beat him in one version of the timeline, this was way before season 5, the Guardian beat Jack, which is a very rare feat. He has also been tricked, coaxed into something he didn't want to do, and he has a temper. He sometimes gets very angry, and this is what the source of Mad Jack was. And then if you remember season 5, he had this great rage inside of him because he wasn't able to complete his mission. Jack is not infallible, but he's still one of the greatest warriors ever created in all of fiction. He has helped so many people. He saved the future, and he's just a great hero. So if you face Samurai Jack, you better watch out. I couldn't resist. I'm sorry. No, I'm not. I'm a fan. All right, now it's Afro Samurai time, mother effers. So, in the world of this Japan, which is also futuristic, which I did not know at the time before doing my research, there are 2 headbands, the number 1 and number 2 headband. And if you have the number 1 headband, you are apparently the greatest warrior, samurai, fighter, whatever, in the world. And the only way to be challenged is by someone to have the number 2 headband, which is where Afro Samurai comes in. Yes, his name is Afro. Apparently, his father once held the number 2 headband, and right in front of him, he was killed by. Right in front of Afro, he was killed by a being known as Justice, which is which set Afro on the path of getting revenge for his father, and so he learned 2 different sword styles so that he could get his revenge, kill Justice, get the number 1 headband, who Justice had at the time. So he set on his journey, and throughout apparently 5 episodes and a movie called Resurrection. There's also video games apparently, but those don't count. And the manga is kind of iffy on continuity. I wasn't really sure about that, so let's just roll with it for now. Afro is an incredibly deadly warrior. His sword, which is not magical, but still pretty good, is incredibly strong and durable. Afro himself is no slouch. He is able to dodge bullets, slice up RPGs. He actually killed a man with just his sheath, which, if you know what a sheath is, it's blunt. It's literally meant just to contain the sword. It's not supposed to be a weapon, but Afro don't care. You don't care, mother effers? No. Trust me, if I could do a better Sam Jackson impersonation, I would. But he is an incredibly determined fighter. He is able to take a beating. I mean, Afro Samurai, dear gosh, some of the clips I saw, he was able to take a absolute beating. Like one time, he got punched by his recently undead father. Yeah. He took like a punch so powerful, his face did like the whole like anime scrunch. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, he's able to take a beating. He is able to slice up so many things. He's really, really powerful. And eventually he was able to kill Justice and get the number 1 headband. And when he was brought back into the fight, he did a lot more killing just to try and get rid of all this stupidity about the headbands, which I'll get to in a second. Now, in the universe, it stated that the number 1 headband, makes you the most powerful warrior. There's even rumors it gives you like the power of a god or something like that. So if Afro in this death battle will have the number 1 headband because he earned it by defeating Justice, and then he did it again by beating his father and CEO and all of them. So yeah, he's gonna have that, and I still trying to comprehend this because again I didn't see the show. But I probably could have in the time I had. But again, it's only 5 episodes in a movie. But one thing that Afro Samurai does really, really well is that he is able to create new techniques in his mind and then enact them in the real world. So, for example, he was fighting a robot version of himself, which was apparently 20% faster and stronger than him. And because it knew all of his moves after an assassin... Yeah, I'm not getting that story, but let's just say an assassin siphoned off his memories to use to make Afro Cyborg. Yes, that was his name. He got to fight this thing, and it had all his memories, so it knew all his techniques. So what was he going to do? So he used his subconscious to actually create new techniques on the fly so that he could surprise the cyborg, and it couldn't block any of his attacks. That's pretty boss, don't you think? So, Afro... he does have a couple key flaws, though. I have the hiccups, I'm sorry. Okay, there we go. So Afro has a few key flaws. One of the big ones is he's not exactly a nice guy. And they're saying, well, he doesn't have to be a nice guy. Todd, he has a mission. Well, I'm like, yeah, but Jack has a mission. He's still a nice guy. But no, Afro is, well, he's cold-blooded. He is out for revenge. He is out to kill Justice. To get revenge for his father, and he got it, and then he tried to leave, and then when he was brought back into it, his only thought was killing the people who brought him back into this. It specifically say that he is not afraid to kill just about anyone who gets in his way. Yes, most of the times it's in self-defense, but a lot of times he just plain kills people. And in fact, in the manga, which again is if he can, in the manga, he actually used a crippled girl as a human shield. Okay, he killed her brother. And then the townspeople tried to kill him in revenge, and then so he used the girl as a human shield, and then killed all of them. Okay, he's not a nice guy, all right. And so yeah, he he's got issues, but again, he is incredibly tough. He once got ambushed by 20 guys and beat them all. He's beaten robots, he's beaten assassins, I think he's beaten ninjas, even though his best friend's like a ninja or something like that. Uh, yeah. So he's dodged bullets, he's dodged lasers. I'm sorry, lasers. He's fought everything that his world has to throw at him, and he's come out on top. So he's worthy of the #1 headband and being the greatest fighter in the world. So where does this leave us? After all this 20 minutes, I mean, I know I spent months on Jack. I'm sorry, but Jack's awesome. I also had a lot more to talk about. So where does this leave us? Okay, here's the key things we need to talk about. Number one, the #1 headband. It's said in the Afro Samurai universe that only the people who have the #2 headband can challenge the #1 headband people and win. Here's the problem with that. Both in the show and in the movie, it was specifically shown that the #1 headband does not make you immune to other attacks. Okay, it does not make you invulnerable to anyone not named the #2 samurai fighter in the world. Okay. And numerous fans who have watched the show have noticed, including one time where a #1 headband user was actually beat down severely by a couple of thugs who didn't have headbands at all. Okay, and in the movie, Afro's sister Sio actually steals the #1 headband, which shouldn't technically be possible because you're supposed to earn it. And so now she's the #1 headband, and then Afro has to somehow, some reason, go and get the #2 headband to take her out. It's very convoluted. And then there's like this whole thing with like there's other headbands and like what the heck. So it's a bit confusing. But based on what I've heard from the fan base, the headbands don't matter. They seriously do not matter. And to add to that, Jack is not a part of the Afro Samurai universe. So it would actually be unfair to state that he can't kill Afro. Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, what about Guts versus Nightmare, where Soul Edge could not be beaten by an ordinary blade? Well, that's different because that was factually proven. That is proven within the universe that Soul Edge could only be killed by Soul Calibur. That's why Soul Calibur was built. So if Guts did not have a sword to kill Soul Edge, he would have totally lost. But it was stated that Guts' sword worked on an astral plane, which it was specifically stated that Nightmare was in so that he could kill him. That's not the same thing here. It's never specifically stated. It's not specifically proven that if you have the #1 headband, which Afro will have in death battle, he is invincible. He cannot be hurt. Okay, it does not happen. So I don't think that's fair to say that Jack can't win because he doesn't have the #2 headband to challenge him. That would be illogical and unfair. Now, I was very surprised, and I mentioned this earlier, I was very surprised that Afro actually has a lot of the same, or similar, I'll say similar feats as Jack. By that I mean that he can technically move faster than Yak and Track, at times. Both of them have had those kinds of feats. They are both able to take on numerous enemies at once. Their sword skills are basically unmatched. They have fought they have dodged lasers, they've dodged bullets, they've dodged missiles. They both specifically destroyed missiles and rocket launchers and etc., etc. So you could argue that a lot of their feats are the same. But here's the problem. Jack has far more than Afro. Again, Afro has 5 episodes, 1 movie, and then questionable continuity with manga and the video games. Jack has 62 episodes. Again, I think that was the right number. 62 episodes. Comics, which have been argued to be canon, and video games himself. So yeah, Jack has a lot more feats, and in those feats are much more plentiful and more impressive than Afro's. For example, one of the feats I mentioned for Afro was that he took on 20 thugs who were set to ambush him. That's very impressive. Jack has taken on whole armies multiple times with various weapons. Afro has taken on, several assassins, and other challengers for his headband. Jack has taken on assassins specifically designed to kill him, and he did it while injured. Now, yes, Afro has done that some certain times as well, but Jack's done it more. Okay, so like great example, Afro was once poisoned with arrows and was still conscious enough and strong enough to slice up an RPG that should have totally killed him. Jack was impaled with a dagger in his stomach, a wound that was physically hurting, which Jack does not show very often, and he would still be able to beat the 7 daughters of Aku, killing 6 of them. So yeah, so Jack has a lot more of that. Afro is incredibly fast. He can jump very, very well. He can react very, very quickly. So can Jack, and I truly believe that Jack has done it better. Both of them have dodged laser blasts. Jack has dodged sunlight lasers. Okay? Alright, look it up. He's in this dome of glass, and the sun comes up, and the sun starts shooting lasers. Sun lasers! Sun lasers! And Jack just dodges them. He totally does. He's just looking at them and dodging them impressively. But even more than that, the Blind Archer episode, which is one of the most visually stunning ones, in my opinion, along with the ninja fight, which I'll also talk about again in a second. But this fight, he had to fight archers who did not use their eyes, but used their ears to kill people. They were not blessed, infected. They were infected by Aku to be the best archers in the world and to protect this. I think it was like a pit of water or something like that. I can't remember the episode. It's fully, but I had to look up the battle. So they were designed to protect this thing, and they were the best archers in the world. And Jack originally could not beat them because he kept looking for the arrows. He was looking for them to fire. So what does he do? He goes blindfolded. He blindfolds himself, strips himself down to his, just his boxers, or his cloth underwear, which is, I'm surprised they got away with that back in the day. But hey, it was before the politically correct era. So he uses that, and then he blindfolds himself so he could only hear the arrows. That's the only indication he knows. He's that he can hear the arrows being fired, and he dodges all of them. Okay? And while Afro Samurai can definitely jump, Jack can jump good. Alright, he was trained to jump so high into the air that he can jump at least hundreds of feet. Afro has been documented as dozens of feet, which is still impressive. But Jack can do hundreds of feet and do it without making a sound. Which brings me to the other great point. Personality. Jack fights with honor. Afro fights to kill. You'd think, well, this would give Afro the advantage. I mean, Jack doesn't like to kill, and that's true. But Jack had always had the intention of killing Aku. That's literally his life purpose. He just happened to fight more machines than men, and that was their whole point. And all the men he faced were never mortal enemies. Okay? Until he faced the daughters of Aku, who he killed 6 of them, and almost killed the 7th. But he decided to have mercy, and then they were kind of a couple, and it was really, really weird, but whatever. So, yeah. Also, Jack, this is one of my favorite speeches. Jack's best friend, the Scotsman. You think you're too good for my daughters? No, love that scene. But no, Jack's best friend, the Scotsman, was just as good as a warrior as Jack. All right, or pretty close. And him and Jack fought for a day. It's specifically shown that they fought for a day, and only after a day of fighting did they tire out. So I truly think that Jack can outlast Afro Samurai. And there's also the whole, they've both been blown up. Jack was actually blown up in space, sent down to Earth. So he survived re-entry, which if you remember Jin, he did the same thing. But unlike Jin, he didn't stay on the ground. Jack got back up and left. Didn't even flinch. He has survived numerous things. He is so gosh dang strong. He's lifted rocks. He had to wear a rock to learn how to jump good and all that. He's done it all. So whilst Afro Samurai, I now truly believe is a worthy foe for Samurai Jack, I do not think that he will win. So my pick is Samurai Jack. So you better watch out, Afro. And with that, I'm ending this episode of Todd Talk. Who do you think is going to win between Samurai Jack and Afro Samurai? And why? And how do you think the battle is going to look? Because I think it's going to be really, really cool. So, thank you for watching. If you made it this far, I know you were listening, and I will see you around.